live. I'm live, and hopefully everybody else is alive. Your YouTube channel. Hello, YouTube, and welcome back. I'm here. We weren't here last Friday, but we're here now to answer any and all questions. Well, I shouldn't say all questions, but if I can't handle it, Shop Mom can. So, I don't know what we're going to even talk about this Friday. It's going to be open, whatever y'all want to talk about. And I'll even turn the volume down on this. I will start it up. I put some pictures on all the social media that I am in, and asked, "Do you know who this? Who this is? Can you guess who this is?" Well, hey, Bob Miller. So the question was, do you know who this is? The pictures that I put, if you've seen them, well, that's Chief. So finally, y'all can put a picture to a face to who's Chief. Eliseo Garza is Chief to me, but Eliseo Garza is his birth name. AJ Scott, okay, so we're just starting out, but I did put some pictures of Chief Sil Garza, like I said, on social media if anybody wants to see. If anybody didn't see them, after we get a little more people in the room, I do have the pictures on my iPad, so I will most definitely share during the live stream. Did anybody see the pictures of my uncle? All right, and while we're waiting for people to come into the room, hit the like, hit the subscribe, all that stuff. If you've never...
Just so you guys know, we
Yes.
weren't here last week because Danny's mom had surgery.
Yes.
But again, she's better, thank God. Dave, we're hoping you're still on the mend after your knee surgery. Hoping wifey is okay. How's mom doing? How is everyone?
Yes. So that's why we weren't here last week. But my mom is doing good. Hello, everyone that's here so far. I don't think Rufus, is that how you pronounce it? Rufus Wilson. I don't think we've ever seen him. I don't know, maybe we have seen him in the room. Welcome. This is where we just talk about anything automotive. Talk about anything, actually. But y'all can decide what we talk about or where we go. If it's technical, engine machining, automotive. I mean, like I said, we'll talk about anything.
Cooking. We can talk cooking.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk cooking. We
can
can watch a lot of Food Network.
Yes, we most definitely talk cooking and food. You can tell food is not something that I shy from. So while we're waiting for everybody to come into the room, hey Aaron, don't forget, it's not too late to get you some of these. If you know, I've talked about them all the time. It's Smoky Unique. Smoky Belongs. You're going to get 3 of these. There's nothing like... nobody's selling anything at all. In fact, Trish Unick, Smokey's daughter, I would save the envelope because she's going to handwrite the envelope to you. All you got to do is go to Trish Unick at SmokeyUnick.com and Trish at SmokeyUnick.com and just ask for them. She's going to send them out. She's not charging for the postage. She's not charging for anything. All you have to do is put this somewhere. Stick it on your forehead. Stick it on your car. Wherever you think Smokey belongs, go ahead and stick it on there. Take a picture of it. Hashtag it Smokey Belongs. Post it on your social media stuff. Tag her. That's all you have to do. But it is nothing more than we're trying to spread the word. She's trying to spread the word. I'm doing my part because I always talk about Smokey. Anybody who knows me, it's going to be either Chief or Smokey. So we know where Smokey belongs. He belongs in NASCAR. Heck, he belongs in the IndyCar Hall of Fame. He belongs everywhere. He belongs in the movies. I don't know why there isn't a movie of Smokey Unick. I just saw the lights flash when I moved back. Look at that. See, even talking about Smokey gets bright in this room. So, all right. I think I've talked too much already. I think it's time for somebody else to talk. No, I just got started.
Sadly, this is your show.
Yes. Okay. So I will keep talking, but tell me any questions at all? Hello from Ohio.
That's Lawnmower, and I just asked him what he's doing in Ohio because Lawnmower is a Texas boy.
So probably work or traveling. We will find out. Amateur radio event. Very cool.
Ah,
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, we like amateur
That's
radios.
very
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
Oh, a new reason to respect lawnmower.
Yes,
Okay,
right.
I'm
Well,
there, I'm
you
there.
know, he's an OG. Hey Craig, howdy. And now you know Craig, not White Nose. You
Craig
see,
White is from the UK.
yes, from the UK, and he thought that the picture in the middle was Van Halen. That's my
Oh,
brother
how
from
funny.
from
Do
back
not tell your brother that.
from back in the day. So what I'm talking about is earlier I posted pictures that my cousin posted on Facebook of Chief, of my uncle. She found these pictures. It's in front of our auto parts R&L that I grew up in as my parents' place. So it's in front of the shop. It's Eliseo Garza, Chief, Alex Armanza, who has passed already, um, and my brother in the center. So did y'all see those pictures of Chief and Eddie Van Halen? It wasn't Eddie Van Halen. It's if you haven't seen the pictures, I do have them on my iPad, and I plan to at least show everybody my uncle Chief. And when you see him with this, I'll start describing a little bit what the image is about. It's in front of our shop. The machine shop part, the auto parts was on one side. Then we had a parking lot in the middle, and the machine shop. It's in front of the machine shop. And what you'll see in my uncle's hand is a cigarette. And he passed because of cancer. So please, people, you know, we want you all around here a lot longer. When I would ask my uncle about the machine shop business is quite stressful, especially if you care. And my uncle really, really, really cared. So he would say, "Dad, you know, when a customer has a problem, and it could be a commercial account or a regular account comes in and lays it at your hands, and then you say, I'll fix it for you. And then, of course, if it's a commercial account, we're down. We need it tomorrow. We need tomorrow. My uncle had this thing. If a job came in and it could be done that day, we stayed until it was done. And it was late. So you could, you could play around all day if you want. That's fine. But we're not going to go home till the job is done. So if a set of cylinder heads came in, they most definitely got hot tanked and torn apart and estimated. And if we didn't get your estimate, then that's as much you could do on that day. But if, we got the estimates and they okayed it, he stayed on, unless we didn't have the part in stock, those cylinder heads got done that day. And we would do, we would do like 20 heads. We would start off in the morning, and we would do like 20 heads and then 20 heads in the afternoon. So that would be 10 pair of heads in the morning, 10 pair of heads in the afternoon. It was quite crazy.
What was crazy was that he was never there at 8.
He was never there at 8. No,
if he
my
was
uncle
there at 8, it was because he hadn't gone home.
Yeah, he was never there at 8 in the morning. My uncle would come in 10-ish, depending. And we opened up at 8, and my mom got to work at 5 o'clock in the morning. And what was weird is that they wouldn't leave because they had to set the alarm to leave. It was 2 buildings, auto parts and the machine shop. So to get there at 5 in the morning, and then to have to stay till 11 o'clock at night because Chief was on a roll, and and the thing is that all the work got done. But when I was real little, and I'd ask, "Can I go spend the night with Chief? Can I go spend the night with Chael? Can I go spend the night with Chael?" Yes, go spend the night. So you can wake him up in the morning so we can get here early. The thing that I don't think my mom is in the room yet, right? Or not? She's been coming into the room. If Jim Cole's not here or my mom's not here, then Chief was called Chief in San Antonio because he was the chief. So other machine shops would call when they had a problem. Their boring bar was cutting wrong. Many stories. Anyway, so Chief would go, "You could come with." And back then it wasn't come with. You could come with me, But we don't say what happens after hours. So don't get it wrong. It was a different time back then. As a little kid, I can remember being in a bar. In a bar afterwards, and I wasn't having a beer, but Chief was having a beer. So we would go over to a garage, a shop, a machine shop, and fix whatever problems they had. I remember my uncle rebuilding carburetors. I remember my uncle rebuilding boring bars. I remember my uncle asking me to drive the car to the back of the shop to load the boring bar, the portable boring bar in the back of the car. and don't let your mom, because afterwards we were going over to another machine shop, still around in San Antonio, and boring 3 or 4 blocks for them that night because their boring bar was down. So Chief would go and bore 3, 4, as many blocks as we could, so that they would have some blocks to build. Load the boring bar back up. It'd be 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, or whatever, and then it was going over to a bar and or going under a tree a lot of times and back of the shop to have a beer. So anyway, a lot of really great stories. In my mind, really great stories. Terry's here, so Terry, I've been waiting for you. Okay, so I wasn't waiting for you, but you're here now. So cheers. Happy Pachanga Friday, Terry. We missed you last Friday, and you missed us as well. We needed a little break, and like I said, my mom was in the hospital having surgery. Terry's here. Can I show Terry, Chief?
Yes, you can show Terry Chief.
I can show Terry Chief. So I'm going to exit from this, not to worry.
Okay, and then you're going to have to answer NV, who wants to know, how is the Smoky Dodge Omni coming along? That is a sore spot in our...
I have, yes, and it's, I wish...
I just want to let you know.
Yeah, okay, well, we'll answer that one in a second, because that one could take probably a little bit longer than whatever. Okay, let me go to 2 photos. Excuse me while I'm looking down and going to my photos. All right, so I'm gonna have to exit this so that we can see. This is.
Can I use my phone so you can do it?
No, I look at this. This is more important to me than anything, I guess. So I'm gonna get the glare out.
Good luck with that.
That's Chief. Can you see it good?
Yes.
All right, so there's this cigarette in his hand right there. And if you notice his pockets.
Okay, now there's a glare from the door.
Okay, so in his pockets are, and these are all on social media. I have it on all my social media accounts. I would encourage you to go to my social media accounts, and then you can screenshot this or keep it and look at it closer or whatever. But those are packs of Winston 100s in a box. So as a kid, he would send me across the street, and we'd buy them in packs of 2. And my uncle would have a cigarette. I've never known anybody ever that can have a cigarette. The ash would go all the way out, down to there and not drop a dang. He'd have a cigarette sitting there doing machine work. He'd pop another one out, put it in his mouth, take that cigarette that was almost done, and light the next one. And this was all day long. So I'm gonna go with one more, and this is that's our shop. Right there, and of course there's Chief with a cigarette in his hand. There's my brother, the rock star, and then there's Alex Amanza, who has now passed. But that was our shop right there for many, many, many years. It's still around. Actually, Parts Plus, the auto parts chain, bought that from.
And Alex obviously did not know how to button his shirt.
No, he was a rock star too. Look at Alex. That was look at it with the shirt like that. Those are some good days. I wish I could go back to this time.
To the 80s?
When I grew up, especially with Chief, I'm gonna go back to here. I grew up and I thought that I grew up in the wrong era, because with Chief, those were older cars. So I thought I should have been born in the 50s. I really thought, now going back. The 80s I thought were not really that great at times, but all the time spent with my uncle at the shop as a kid. I mean, growing up, I remember thinking, I love the old cars. So Chief's car, his favorite car that he built, a 56 two-door hardtop. So aqua and white. So one of these days, maybe I'll find a car like that and build a tribute car to my uncle. So there was the question of the Plymouth. Okay, the Plymouth, in fact, the clutch is back there in the back. We had a clutch issue of finding it doesn't have a stock clutch in it. So when we pulled it apart, if you saw the videos, that Faye has some videos, and as well as I do, we did several cameras. So we have different angles of pulling the engine out and stuff. And I think my last video that I uploaded. It's been a while since I uploaded any YouTube videos. Is that one pulling the engine out and everything. What we found was the clutch was toast. It could be reused, especially for a museum car. We're not going to do much driving, but that just goes to show you the amount of torque that this car has. So what did I do? You know it. I went to eBay, and we're in auto parts as well. Auto parts and shop, just like I grew up with. Old school auto parts and shop and machine shop. And I went to eBay, and my mom still owns the auto parts in San Antonio. So, and bought a clutch kit for the Plymouth. Got it, opened it up. No, it's not a wide enough pad on the disc. The outside diameter is the same, but the pad is real wide on the one that's in the hot vapor car. So I thought, okay, cool, no problem. Smokey used a turbo clutch. Not really thinking it out a little bit further than that. Easy cheesy, whatever. Order another clutch kit for a turbo car. Well, I know now that Plymouth A, in that year, there wasn't a turbo to 2.2. That wasn't until the Daytona, into the Shelby Charger. So that really, the clutch that I got did not fit. The clutch that Chrysler uses for a turbo car is a bigger diameter, so it doesn't fit the flywheel. So of course this flywheel has the same bolt pattern as a stock clutch, but a real wide pad. So I have the dilemma of, I'm gonna have to either, there used to be a place in town that would reline clutches. When I was growing up, I'd have my clutch and my Duster relined many times. Well, we called, they don't do that anymore. They ship them out. No one relines clutches anymore. I watch YouTube videos all the time, and there's guys in India that are relining clutches on the floor, on the knees. So Faye had this idea, why don't we reline the clutch ourselves? So it'd make a great YouTube video. I need to find clutch lining material. And I'm at the point of, you know what? The clutch isn't gone. The flywheel was pretty toast. It's still got some little bit of meat left in the clutch. Put the same clutch back in it and move on. Put the engine back in the car and let's drive this thing. And like I thought, when me and Faye had back and forth, and I can pull the tire off and pull the tranny out and change the clutch out later. So that's where I'm at right now, with the clutch on the Plymouth. That's what's stopping us really. The engine's ready at home. The car's up on the lift. Been up on the lift forever and a day now, and I just need a clutch for it. So does that help? Maybe
that does help. And there's also a question from B. Smith. What file can I use on my engine block deck without being too aggressive?
I vacillate giving you the answer, but you're awesome. That's the way my uncle would do it, and so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I made a mistake, and I haven't done this in a while. I told somebody years ago, and they went to town with a file from Home Depot. Back then it was probably in the Home Depot, Guadalupe Lumber or whatever, the most rough file, and they went to town. And they went to town on the low spot. Cause, after that I went, you know what? I can't use the word common sense, and if you watch any of my videos, any of these, common sense is common to you, to you and what you grew up with. So my common sense is totally different. I had my Uncle Chief, so my common sense is totally different. If you grew up with a master chef cook, your common sense is way awesome. You'll probably never cut yourselves with a knife. If you grew up by a railroad track, you don't have to hear the horn from the train to know that when you feel the ground vibrating, a train's a coming. Because you grew up, that's your common sense. If you grew up someplace where you've never seen a train, you may sit there on the track going, what is this metal thing? What is that noise I'm hearing? So common sense is common to you. So I made the mistake of telling them that I'm going to make a mistake again, because now it's going to be on my live stream, which I leave my live streams on forever. You want to use a machinist file. The files will last forever and ever. I finally got me a new one, and it took 2 or 3 because they weren't very flat. But I found a real good one. It's a snap-on one. All files, especially nowadays more than ever, Masimat Maoma just perfectly flat, but have like a little curvature to it. So when you lay it on something flat, it wants to cut the outer edge. If you flip it, it wants to cut the inner ends. Put it back in the sleeve and gave it back to my snap-on guys. I want a file that's flat. So you want to start off with a good machinist file, a real fine file. It almost doesn't do anything, that's good. That's what you really want, because you don't really want to sit there and get after it crazy. What my uncle would use a file for, to open your eyes to the deck. So all decks, it doesn't matter, I don't care how new it is, from an LS to the new Ferrari to whatever, it's done on a machine. All machines are going to have harmonics. So when the head on it, could be a bottom broach, it could be an up broach, side broach, it doesn't matter. And I'm going by side broach. Did you know that they actually, I think it was Dodges that had these broaches and the block would go through it sideways. So really it doesn't matter. But they're going to leave some kind of harmonic on the cut. It's going to vibrate. I don't care what machine. Try this at home and you'll go, that's what he's talking about. So as they're coming across the top, it's milling, it's flat, but it leaves some harmonics. Those are going to be wave patterns. Okay, so all you got to do is take a file and lightly at a 45. If I'm doing this deck right here, I'm going to go to 45. I'm not going to go here and go sideways. I'm not going to do this. You know, I'm going to 45 it, and then I'm going to lightly go across. Then I'm going to crisscross it 45 and go across that way. If you take a file, little WD-40, lay it on there and just go across it at a 45 and then come back at this 45 a few times, what you're going to see is those witness marks. You're going to see those lines of that harmonic went up and down, up and down, up and down. You're going to see those, it's going to bring those lines all back up. Now, if it overheated and it has a low spot, that line is going to go across the deck, a black spot, and then go across the deck again. So lightly 45, look, and you should have these lines going from one end all the way out the other. In between the cylinders, the line should go right through there. When you have a black spot, that's a low spot. Here's the deal. Don't take a file and work that low spot until you see it shiny. That's a low spot. Leave that alone. I mean, we could file something that's 2, 3, 4 thousandths off without a mill on the vehicle, on the car. Because what you're doing is you're going 45, and you'll see the high spots, which is the original deck, is going to get nice and shiny. Those lines are going to be, you're going to be pulling those lines back out. The dark spot. You're going to be hitting the high spots until the dark spot starts to shine without ever doing that low spot. So you're really getting the high spots, and then it's bringing the whole deck down. So I don't know. You have to kind of see it. It's one of those things that you have to. If I took a file and maybe I need to start doing stuff like that and just ran across Ashafay and she picked it up just like that, explaining it, but then doing it once she's go, whoa, okay. And I don't care what you're working on, from a part from a water pump to a part from a washing machine. Take a file and you will see what I'm talking about. It brings out those lines, and those lines is what you're looking at. You want a nice line to go from one side to the other. If it's dark in the center, I don't want to keep going to the same thing, but so a file is really, you can take up 2, 3 thousandths if you know what you're doing with the file. A little short story. It's a friend of mine, Maurice, was born here, but his mom took him to Germany when he was a baby. I mean, just after he was born. So he grew up in Germany. So once he was an adult, he came back to see his dad. He stayed here. So he's my German machinist buddy. I love the stories of there. In Germany, machinists are a big thing. So they go to machine school. They give you a block. They give you a piece of metal and they give you a drawing. They give you a caliper and a file. And get after it. You need to make a cube. You're filing perfectly flat. Then you got to flip it over and file the other in perfectly flat. Then you got to mic that and get that perfectly parallel. Then you flip it. So you're making a cube that they're going to take a mic and mic it. They gave you a caliper and a file. They're going to mic it with the micrometer. And so you're learning how to machine with the file. You're learning, because if you can machine with the file, you can machine with anything. So anyway.
Okay, so there's a couple of other things.
El Jefe, yes.
First of all, regarding the clutch for the Omni, Tom suggests just start it in fourth. It probably has enough torque.
When I drove the car without the hot vapor engine, because what Smokey did is put another engine back in it, But so it was a brand new motor. Still has a Mopar filter on it. It's a brand new motor, and the year is different than the car. So I know that it's not the engine that he took out of the car because the year is off. It's a few years newer. So he probably had a brand new, a crash remote. I'm sure he bought two or three of them, knowing smoking and everything else he did. That's what he would do. He always bought in more than one, or he had the manufacturer give him engines to develop. So what he did is he pulled a hot vapor engine out and put this engine in it, a brand new 2.2, hooked everything back up, and the year is off, but it's still, like I said, it has the original oil filter still on it. So the car only has 9,000 original miles, so who knows how many miles his original engine is. But I drove the car. We drove it on and off the trailer. We drove it from the shop, from our home shop to our business shop, and then we took the car. We didn't drive it there. We put it on the trailer and took it to New York to the auto show at the Manhattan Classic Car Club.
No, the Manhattan.
So
Classic Car Club of Manhattan.
The Classic Car Club of Manhattan. So you'll see the picture. I think it was in was it in Motor Trend? Who was it?
Popular Mechanics.
Popular Mechanics did an article, the best car at the show. This was a year ago.
Actually, it was the most interesting thing they saw at the show.
The most interesting thing they saw at the show. And while driving it, taking off in first, it's like taking off in third. Boy, I mean, I had everybody giving me the old Texas, you're number one at the light trying to take off. Once I got going, I got up to speed and I wasn't a danger to anybody on the road. But it doesn't accelerate very well. Well, because the gear ratio has been changed. This hot vapor engine produces so much torque. It's just amazing. It was a booger to drive with the stock engine. Like I said, once you got it up to on the highway, fine. But this is Texas, and 281, you better not be growing 70 miles an hour or you're going to get run over. So you can imagine at a light trying to take off and getting it up to speed. Trying to go up our hill, it wasn't a pleasant drive. So, but that is encouraging how much torque the hot vapor engine builds, because with a regular engine in it, not very well.
Okay, so a couple of other things, because
hey, Wade,
otherwise you'll just keep going. First of all, Louis is really, it's Louis. He's really glad you're talking about Chief. Beyond that, B. Smith thanks you because he does see the harmonics from the brooch. Very weighty. Wade says, you sounds like you'd make a good body man. And John says, I always use a super thin coat of paint or marker on the top and then hit it the same as you with a file, and that usually shows any low spots, which I think is probably one of the best tips you can give anybody in this forum. And then Bob Miller wants to know, how do you smoke a brisket? He's been wondering ever since you mentioned it.
Oh, we're going to brisket smoking now. But awesome. Now I use Dykeman's Blue. I use a dye.
It's called Toolmaker's Dye.
Toolmaker's Dye. Toolmaker's Dye. So we didn't use that back in the day. Chief would just spray paint, or the gasket's there and it's all dirty. So it was a different world. It was a different world back there. Keep your file clean, the WD-40. But that's exactly it. Like I said, that's the way I learned. It's an amazing tool. That's never gonna do you wrong in my mind. I don't need a straight edge. I can tell with that. But the one customer that brought something in and I was like, oh my God! I never said resurface your block. You're using it as a witness. You're using it to see what's going on. If you can see the lines going across, especially in between the cylinders, it's flat. It's flat. All machines are going to leave that. So I'm glad you embrace that. And once you do it, you see it. I encourage everybody to go out there and take a file and hit a deck. Stop it, people. Hit a deck with a file, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It'll bring it right back up.
John also points out that he uses a super flat piece of granite and super high grit number sandpaper and paint the surface, and then hit it at 3 different angles, and then check the paint marker that didn't get rubbed off.
Oh, I think John needs to just be part of the show, because that's another. I have a piece of granite. In fact, I expressed the granite with some, get some 3M sanding paper. I say sandpaper. I ain't using it. I'm talking about 400, 600, 800 grit. And not the kind you use for wood. But it's the wet one. So if you do body work, you would know what I'm talking about. Put it on a piece of granite. A piece of granite is an excellent. Now, if the file's showing something low, my uncle would just do it with the file. He didn't do the granite thing. I can do granite. In fact, if you see some of Faye's videos are just going back to the Stone Age. Don't be alarmed, but a piece of granite with some emery, a big sheet of sandpaper, 600, 800 grit, WD-40, exactly. Go at the different angles. I mean, you know what you're doing. He's got the right idea, but that's the way that we would do it. With that, you can actually, if you pay attention, you can do some great stuff with very little things. But you can also screw stuff up real easy if you're just not paying attention. All right. What is
we still have to get back to the smoking
the brisket.
But Rose Brooks is here. Hiya, Rose.
Hey, Rose.
And Rose says,
cheers.
Rolls of Rolls Royce went through that block squaring process in school. The blocks were so flat that they would be oiled and slid apart.
All right.
That.
Yeah. Yep. I like that. And Rose, in a sense, well, you could get if you get two perfectly machined surfaces, they'll actually stick.
She wants to know if we're talking about scraping decks at this point. Actually, Danny said, hit a deck. Okay. And then he said, stop it.
Stop it. Yes.
Danny.
You know me. It's going to be, and that was me from Chief. That's the way Chief was. Always it had to be a reference to a woman. It always had to be because, so anyway,
yeah, Danny loves his women. What can I tell you?
Oh, the Chief was just I learned to be a man from Chief.
Can I tell a real quick funny story about how Danny loves his women?
Yeah, sure.
Many years ago,
or maybe
actually it was 1999, first time the Spurs went to the championship finals. A local radio station had a contest. The Spurs were playing the Lakers. I understand the Spurs aren't it this year. Lakers still are. We're not going there. This was 1999. And the local radio contest wanted you to sing some irreverent cheer because I am who I am. I did, in fact, have the winning cheer. And I had my choice of Spurs tickets or front row seats to share. Well, I'm sorry, we already had tickets to the Spurs. I picked share. Every girlfriend I had came out of the woodwork, wanted to go with. And Danny said, are you kidding? Do you know where every good-looking woman in San Antonio is going to be? I'm going to share. So, just so y'all know, I'm very comfortable in my skin, very comfortable in my marriage, and my husband loves his women.
And true. I like Cher. I like her music anyway. But if you ever have a chance to go to a Cher concert, man, they everybody dresses up just fine. The women are fine. Everybody's dressed up. It's just if you love women, go to a Cher concert. Oh man, it was
just like good people watching.
If you love good people, it was I don't want to say because it sounds weird. The bathroom experiences were weird. It was like a party, but a good party. It was just a lot of love in the room. All right, so
okay, back to smoking briskets.
Back to smoking briskets. There's two ways you can smoke a brisket: good and bad. Done. You're gonna ruin it. You're gonna make it good. No, I'm just joking. You could go low and slow, or high and fast, and you can kind of do it both ways. It's whichever way that you prefer. Sometimes it's like a friend of mine, and then Shop Mom has the best way to do it. That's 100% guaranteed right. And the thing about a brisket is you're going to make a lot of shoe leather. You're going to make a lot of shoe leather by the time you make a brisket that you can say is worth eating. And that's just the way it is. But like what Franklin says, even a bad brisket, you learn something from it. So make yourself some notes as you're doing the brisket, and you'll see where you kind of went wrong. I'm going to give you the quick way because a brisket is a lot of money. So Shop Mom's Way, 100% guaranteed.
But it's a secret.
What?
But it's a secret.
But it's a secret. Can I give it out? Can I give out Shop Mom's secret?
What?
Yes. Okay.
What?
She said.
I didn't say yes.
I think I heard yes. Right.
I said what? No.
What?
I said what?
So I have a buddy of mine, and he does it the low and slow. So 12 hours, low heat. What do we?
Lawnmower says just boil the brisket and get it over with.
That's just that's hard. That's not even guisada. And so that was just, it got me all off track to boil it. So
yes.
so my buddy of mine who actually I have my oldest smoker. He actually built him a supercharged blown 400 small block Chevy, and as a gift for he paid. I mean, it wasn't any of that, but it's kind of like, you know, I'm gonna make you a smoker, and he can smoke meat like crazy. And he says he tried, and he's like, this is awesome. When you want to man up, you know, and make a real, you know, a brisket the way a man does it, and then, you know, you come calling. That's great, but you didn't do it the way. So if you don't spend, my friend rolled the same way. If you don't spend 12 hours, you know, dying every 15, 30 minutes, you know, checking the smoker. I like oak. There's just the different kinds of wood you can use. Cherry wood, depends what kind of flavor you want in it. But it's like, well, if you're not gonna go and do it the, you know, like he said, like my friend says, like a man does it, you know, then you're not in the same world. Well, briskets are expensive, and I made a lot of shoe leather, and I got better and better and better, and that's why it's almost like a flathead Ford. You know, when you see one running and you hear it, and if you've ever had any experiences with it, you know how amazing that engine is, and because you know what it took to do that. So a brisket done the low and slow and just falls apart. You got to get it up to temperature to get the fat to render down. If not, it's going to stay as fat. It's going to be, that's what renders down and makes that brisket just so moist. So that's why when you taste a real brisket, you can appreciate what it took to make that brisket. It's kind of why it's like, you know, it's like the rite of passage, you know, to make a brisket, a brisket the low and slow. I'm going to give you the quick tip of the day. I'm not listening. So
I'm listening.
Okay. And okay, so this is the way you do it. Get your smoker going. Okay. You want an offset smoker, whatever kind of smoker that you get. That's the thing. It's an art to the smoker. People spend thousands of dollars on a smoker. I bet Rose can make. You would probably have. That's, you know, building some custom smokers. I have some design ideas for automated to automate a smoker, so I can go to sleep and let it load the wood and keep the temperature right. But you want an offset smoker because you want the smoke. If you see a bunch of smoke bellowing out, you really don't want to infuse it with green wood and stuff. You want a little bit of smoke going for long times. That's why you want to get that smoke ring going in really good. I get the smoker going, get it really, really good. I put the brisket in there. We'll talk about how to prep the brisket if you want to talk about how to prep the brisket. And
okay, but can I show you something? Will you show something for me?
Yeah.
Because I was just telling him about my tequila, maple, and butter drenched cheesecloth on a turkey.
Oh, where's that picture?
And of course, Aaron says it sounds delicious. Let me show you.
Look at this thing. I like a skin. Stop it, people. I like a good crisp skin. And look at what this is a look at this turkey.
That's a Thanksgiving turkey.
Can y'all see that? That is but so how do you do, how do you get that skin, the nice skin there, and it keeps all the juices inside. I love the good skin. And so how do you do? She awesome. She does it. Did she put about her tequila with the on top?
Yeah, tequila, and actually I add some orange zest, and I always use
grass-fed Wahoo.
Kerrygold butter. But yeah, I love to cook, you guys. My stress relief is to be in the kitchen. Terry will tell you, His big sister loves to cook.
Has John not been here before? This is John's first time.
No, John has been here
Oh, I was
before.
gonna say I'm bad, so I'm liking John even more now. Oh man, I want to do a brisket now, grass fed. So if you do, you can take you start off with the better product, you get a better outcome. But I've taken some nice prime briskets and made shoe leather out of them, and I've taken some just choice brisket, and it's like just amazing. But start off with the better brisket. But when you're learning, like I said, you're gung ho, and this is the thing, you spend a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort, and then you'll make shoe leather. But here's Shop Mom's way to do it. Give it to me. Okay. I'm gonna go even with the prep. I want to get rid of the fat on one side. You want to trim it good. I like to leave, if you're gonna do it on the smoker, low, slow in the smoker the whole time, leave more fat. If you're gonna do it in the oven, I'm gonna tell you about the little trick, Shop Mom's trick. I'm seeing the turkey on my screen now. A little delay there. I'm getting hungry. So trim it down and not as much fat, because then you'll get barbacoa. You'll get it way too soft. You'll just render down. Nothing wrong with barbacoa, but you take a brisket and you just make it into taco meat, but it's really like barbacoa. It's just so don't leave as much fat if you're gonna do it the oven way. You don't need as much fat that way. If you're gonna go out into the smoker, and depending on your smoker, how hot it gets, how close it is to the box, put the fatter side that way. So it takes time. You're gonna play with that, but just as a tip, leave more fat if you're gonna do it completely outside, because you're gonna spend a lot of time in the smoker. Like I said, if your smoker gets up a lot hotter on one end, leave a lot more fat. But trim it. I like to leave fat on one side, about a 1/4 inch. If it's gonna go in the oven, a little bit fatter if it's gonna go outside. Trim. Leave about a 1/4 inch. Flip it. I like to use a mustard. You're not gonna taste the mustard. It's just gonna hold your spices on the brisket. And I learned that from a few of my friends, and I think even Franklin says that he does it that way as too. You can use honey. You can use anything on. What we found, and this from advice that was given to me, you're not gonna taste the mustard at all. Just real lightly, salt and pepper. That's it. Here's the tip though. Not salt. You need a coarse ground salt, and you need peppercorns. Been there, done it. Salt and pepper. Oh, you do all this, and you to get a brisket that tastes either salty or peppery, really peppery. You don't want that. So I take peppercorns, put them in a Ziploc, get a hammer, break them down, and get a coarse ground pepper. I really don't even want to buy coarse ground pepper. I want peppercorns that I hit and I can smell they're fresh. Crack them and get them nice coarse ground pepper, and then get kosher salt, kosher salt. I have a jar that I use at the same time every time. Mix it 50-50 salt and pepper. That's it. Salt and pepper. Coarse ground. So you're not going to have that really peppery taste. Even though it's coarse ground pepper, it makes a great crust on the outside of it. But it's not going to be, like I say, try a fine pepper, and it's like a pepper steak, or too much. Not like pepper, but trust me. Coarse ground, kosher salt container. I shake it up, and then I go to town with it. Put a nice crust on it. It goes in the smoker. Depending on the smoker, we want to 275 generally. There we go. 160 gonna go long. Yeah, exactly. Bob Miller's got it. Go with Bob Miller's time. But if I'm gonna do it the quicker way, and give it a good smoke. If my temperature's lower, I'll do it longer. It depends on when Shop Mom says I want the brisket at this time and what time we're going to eat, because it takes preparation. Even after the cooking, you can ruin it right there at the end by not wrapping it and let it sit. Then we have the two. It has to rest. It has to rest. It can't get tired. It has to rest, and that takes a while. So you got to plan backwards from the time that you're going to eat. That's why, who wants to be up all night? But it is a kind of a rite of passage, and sometimes if it's a holiday, it's kind of fun to do that, especially if you got some buds and drinking some beer. So
some what?
What? So it's gonna go into the oven, but So I'm gonna smoke it outside, give it the good smoke. Depending on the temperature, I may do it 1 hour. You can play with that depending on how hot your temperature is, just to smoke the tar of it. I want to just really get it a good smoke ring. Then I hand it to Shop Mom. Here's the thing: she puts it in a browning bag. So you're gonna get a gravy mix, a brown gravy mix. You can take flour, throw it in a browning bag, and you want it in a browning bag so it doesn't stick to the brisket. So shake it all around. I like to get mushrooms, the little cap mushrooms, a whole pack of them.
Baby bellas.
The what is it?
Baby bella.
The baby bella mushrooms, because I like to also make my sauce, and I love sautéed mushrooms. So I'll throw them in the bag. I'll get an onion, cut it in half, throw that in the bag. Get the brisket. I'll go outside with the bag, open up my smoker, put it right in. I like to even get some smoke in the bag, close it, and give it to Shop Mom, and let her finish it in the oven. Done, 100% perfect every time. Like I said, you lose your man card, but you get a great brisket every time. I'm just kidding. See how us men are? We think it's just this beer talking. But anyway, hey Ed, I love your videos. You're awesome. You're kicking it. Okay, I don't know what else, but so you got me going on briskets, and this weekend would be a great. I think we're going to go buy a brisket.
No, actually, I think I want to do some pork this weekend.
Yes, you've been talking about smoking some pork.
You know me.
I love smoking meat. Yes, I do too. I do too. Smoked meats is just a different, and I don't want to say it's a Texas thing, but there is a difference. I like burnt ends. I love burnt ends. So if y'all don't know what burnt ends are in the brisket world, oh my God, I love burnt ends. So I like to put a good thick crust on it. I salt and pepper it really, really, really well.
Yes, you do. You do a good crust.
Yes, crust. So when you're gonna get the stall. You're gonna get the stall as you're coming up to temperature. At about 160 degrees internal temperature in the brisket, it's gonna get what's called a stall, and you're gonna watch your brisket if you're putting a probe in it. My friend Max says, "Man up, we don't put probes in our meat." All right.
Well, some of us put probes in our meat.
Stop it, babe. Stop it. We're not. This is a family show. When you hit, it's going to come up in temperature. Come up in temperature. You're always checking. You always may, depending if you're going to go the 12 hours, 160, 170, 180 degrees, depending on what you're, and it depends on your smoker. Don't make a mistake. Been there, done it. You go read somebody else's thing. You don't have the smoker that they have. So that's going to vary. So it's going to take a couple of shoe leathers before you start off with the smaller ones till you get to what your smoker does. But then when it gets to the stall, you'll get to that temperature and it'll just stall there. So you're either going to have to bring it up in temperature to get it past the stall, hold out. A lot of times, if you go by the hours that it's been on, it's been on this many hours. Somebody said, do it for this many hours, take it off. It could stall there for a long time, especially if it gets into the stall where so sometimes you got to take it up and get it over that stall point, because you're going to get it out at about 180 degrees, and then you're going to wrap it. Okay, how are you going to wrap it? Are you going to wrap in foil? Are you the foil type, or are you the butcher paper type? In Texas, we like a crust, so we do the butcher paper type. Then you're gonna wrap it. Even the cooling process is gonna go into an ice chest, and it's gonna cool. It's a whole art. It's the fun thing of making a brisket. It's kind of like that's why it's like a rite of passage. That when you make a good brisket, it takes so much time. That's the passion. It's just tough when you do all that and then you get shoe leather. So, all right, pork shoulder. Oh, there we go. Yum, burnt ends. All right, Bob. There we go.
Yeah. So obviously we all have varied tastes, but we seem to all enjoy automotive machining and barbecue. This must be Texas, or maybe it's heaven.
And TR says, I can see the sign, Hill Country Performance. I guess in the reflection. Awesome, I guess. I don't know where you're seeing it.
No, he said he can see he can see the new sign, Hill Country Performance
and barbecue. All right, I need to learn how to read everything, not just Yeah, we could actually, this location would be the place
And
for.
Terry says, I am sure Danny can build a mesquite-fired engine and smoke something with the exhaust. LOL.
Yep, buddy. Come on.
That's actually if you're going to do the barbecue circuit, that would be quite the gimmick, right?
There you go.
Ooh, Terry, you might be on to something.
I think, Terry, when you retire, you're going to come back and we're going to retire together, and we're going to go in.
Wondering if Smokey was good at smoking meats.
I don't think it. Right, there's never any stories, never anything from.
Nothing that says that he was
nothing
ever
that
interested in something as mundane.
even at a barbecue. Yeah, I can't recall. He liked his drinks, but I can't think about food. I can't even tell you what Smokey's favorite food was. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that he ever mentioned anything about it other than the time that he was, with the indigenous peoples, and he did remark about the foods that they ate.
Yes. Their food he did like.
But you don't see a lot of remarks about that. Okay,
All
but
right.
we're gonna have to wrap up a little bit early this evening because
we're
we've
gonna
been
make
blessed to have company all week, and we don't have company tonight. So
Stop it,
yeah.
Top Mom. Stop it.
I'm not embarrassed to say I'm as my father says, soy muy mujer, muy mujer.
Yeah, it's not like I tell my friends when they say, "Man, how can you be with your wife 24/7 every single day? You work together, you drive together, you do everything together. How do you do it?" And they're, I'm, what I say? You didn't marry your best friend. I mean, so I'm not saying go sleep with your best friend, your buddy, whatever. I'm not getting there, but that's the difference. Everybody has a best bud. You go to swap meets, you go together, you go everywhere together. I just happen to marry my best friend, so it's not a chore or it's just like, I mean, that's what we've been together forever, and it's like, it's like we look forward to times when it's just us. But so anyway. Brunswick stew. Well, it became a food.
It became a food conversation,
and that's okay. That's okay with
which is really cool.
That's okay.
Really cool. We really appreciate you guys. Stuff has been rough, as Danny said. His mom had surgery last week,
and so I guess it's now time to talk about next week.
I think
right.
Anybody, yeah.
Then, okay, so our buddy Jim Losey passed away. I put stuff on my social media. Jim Losey, for those that don't know, which is really weird because now we're hearing a lot of stories from friends, and it's like, Jim, he told us a lot. I mean, it's my cigar and beer buddy, and I knew he was the technical editor for Carcraft magazine, a popular hot rodding. I knew he worked, right next to Vic Edelbrock. He worked at Edelbrock. I knew a lot of stuff. He worked on some side projects on the Grand National stuff. I was really like, he actually worked with Smokey Unick at Edelbrock when they were doing some stuff at Edelbrock. So all that is said, come to find out when the stories that we're hearing from Cam, one of the editors, all these editors, these editors and these stories that we're hearing are amazing. Like Jim used to say, some of the other editors write stories on pretty cars. He was the technical editor. I have the magazine right there of the Texas turnaround, and it's a technical article on a 5-speed transmission back before there was 5-speed transmissions. So that was Jim Losey. He was an automotive, just automotive guru. In fact, in some of the Carcraft magazines we have read, before there was a power tour, there were other venues that were kind of like a power tour, and they won. And it says, I don't remember who the driver was, and Jim was a team 2 in an El Camino with a Grand National engine in it. And it says, Edelbrock's guru, Jim Losey. We were talking to Vintage Air in San Antonio, and what did it was saying they met Jim. This is the president. In fact, he's going to be here this coming Friday. But when he met Jim was years ago
Rick Love.
it was Rick Love, Rick Love from Vintage Era, and when he met him was years ago at the Power Tour, and
96 or 97.
96 or 97. Now we got to look that up, and it was with Vic Edelbrock, and
Jim was, as Rick said, Jim was.
for that he bought us back some hats, the memorial hats, but it's like Jim didn't even tell us a lot. He didn't tap his own shoulder and anything, and man, and I knew that he worked right next to Vic and all the different stories of Edelbrock, but not the extent of Jim Lossi. So next Friday, we're doing a celebration of life here at Hill Country Performance. Anybody that's within driving distance, come on down. We're gonna do a live stream, I think, for his family, and Cam, which is an editor, Cam Benty.
Cam Benty.
You're all probably gonna go look him up and go, or you probably already know if you read any of the magazines. Tuner, as well. A bunch of his friends from California. Cam is gonna be in Italy, I believe. We can't make it. So the ones that can come are going to come, but the ones that are not, we're going to go ahead and live stream it, so that they can be, part of his celebration of life. So I've been working on the last 2 weeks of putting together a video of just all the images that I have from the shop. He was, Jim's influence is just there. You could not do anything without Jim's influence. I was very fortunate. I got some, and I might even bring them out next Friday, these old Edelbrock books, and it's all the hand drawings and blueprints to different intake manifolds. And Jim gave me that a while back. It has all the specs, the angles, the cuts of every intake manifold from back in the day. So it's even in a Edelbrock folder. Still have to go. I've been invited to go over to Jim's garage and go through his books and see what I don't have. So anyway, Jim, we're gonna do his celebration of life next Friday. If you're around, come participate.
We're gonna start at 2:00.
We'll start at 2:00 on Friday. We did this especially before COVID. We just started doing some
And remember,
barbecuing.
folks, we are inviting people to bring your ride.
Yes, bring your ride. It's gonna be a car Jim loved. My son wanted to do beers and burnouts. Bob wanted to do beers and burnouts. We can't do beers and burnouts technically, because of the liability. We don't want to.
Dan is not in charge of what you do on 281.
I'm not in charge of what you do on 281. And Jim is. Where are those pictures from? Yes, we gotta. I don't know where those pictures are. Trying to gather as much pictures as we can. Jim was very influential, like I said. So I have a bunch of pictures with engines that I built, the compressed air engine. So Jim's been around engines forever. It was a neat thing that it was very like, oh, this is awesome. Compressed air, new technology. So even to the last day, Jim was still influential in the engine building world. So I have a bunch of pictures of Jim in the background of me building engines and his 427. Jim, back in the day, for Carcraft magazine, built the first 427 small block Chevy. And that's a big cubic inch small block Chevy, 427 cubic inches. Back in the day, it was a custom crank, bunch of custom parts. Now you can buy a crankshaft, you can buy the parts to build you a modern 427 small block Chevy with off the shelf. Back then you couldn't. You had to get stuff made. So what we did, before he passed, this a while back, it wasn't that long ago, we built him a modern 427. He called all his buds because when you're a technical editor, they want to send you engines so that you can write an article on cars, so you can write an article on and stuff. So he called up his buds and got, a lot of people just donated parts. And we built a modern 427. Callie's crank. I'm talking about So you'll see the pictures. We're watching the video last night that I was editing, and there's a big section in the middle that's just the engine, and Jim's in a few of them. And Shop Mom's like, we want more of Jim than everything else. This is Jim's engine. And then at the end, we ended up running the engine. Sounds awesome. But anyway, I might edit that down and have a different video on just the 427 build from start to finish. But last night I was sitting back watching it, and we're gonna have Nelson's music. Nelson, my buddy Nelson, our buddy Nelson, had just recently passed as well. They were both the same age as well. All that being said,
I'm tired of people dying, so nobody
yes,
is allowed to die for the next 5 years.
Stop it, people! No more dying. You know, that's kind of the thing. You know, it's kind of like in feelings. You're not gonna get your feelings hurt if you have no friends, right? The more friends you have, the more your feelings are gonna get ruffled sometimes. The more that you love, the more that you're gonna get the pain of losing someone. But that's way better than have never loved. I guess something like that. So we're gonna do that next Friday at 2:00.
And we will be streaming it, guys.
I'm gonna stream it.
We're gonna. Guys who can't make it, we will be streaming.
I'm gonna use this same platform, so it's gonna be a little bit different. A lot of it may just be the camera, and it won't be nobody talking. I'm gonna start off we got a big screen in the auto parts, and I'm gonna put the video that I've been working on and play it. So I'll probably start it out there, and then from there we'll probably put the phone on a tripod, maybe walk the parking lot at some point, maybe, I don't know, interact a little bit. But if I don't interact that much, it's because we're interacting with people here. But it depends on the interaction that we get from this side. So anyway, that's happening next Friday. It's going to be a little bit different.
We are now going.
We
to
are
sign
down
off. We're
to
gonna
the
say
end.
Our usual, because it matters to us. You know the drill, folks. Peace and assembly.
Yes. Not peanuts and assembly grease.
I said peace and assembly.
No, I started typing it and then it just.
That's because you don't usually type, so it doesn't recognize yours.
Man, what am I doing?
For those of us who have regularly been involved in this process, it automatically pre-populates that field.
Look at that. All right, Ed, thanks for being here. Peace and assembly grease.
Everybody,
Ed, Way, Venom.
Scott,
And Ed, I do like what we're doing. You know, us old guys, we got to just, keep sharing the old stuff that we know. And there are the young that do appreciate it. So keep that up. All right.
Terry.
Peace and assembly grease. Terry, we'll see you next Friday.
No, we won't see
We
Terry.
won't see Terry next Friday.
Terry's going to Prague to visit family.
Well, there you go. So we won't see you next Friday, Terry.
The rest of y'all.
The rest of y'all, and like I said, if you come on and you see there's something different going on, that's what's happening. Peace and assembly grease, everybody. Now I'm really done.
Now you're out of here.
We'll see you. Happy Friday.